Terrell Bernard out multiple weeks per Sean McDermott, potential candidate for IR, meeting 4 weeks. Terrell Bernard could be gone. The next 4 games we have the Jags, the Ravens, the Texans, and the Jets. You know, Terrell Bernard is definitely a dynamic piece, and we are already out Matt Milano. Man, the Buffalo Bills are already in tough shape here. Taron Johnson, looks like the injury there isn't too bad and should be making his way back relatively soon. But how is this going to impact the next 4 games or more for the Buffalo Bills without Terrell Bernard? Now, looking at the Miami Dolphins game with Specter filling in, I think he did an excellent job finishing behind Damar Hamlin for the most amount of tackles in the game. I think this definitely opens up the door for Buffalo Joe. If there is another injury here, we could very well see Buffalo Joe, who a lot of people are saying is a Luke Kuechly type player for Bills Mafia. I am very high on Specter. I think he did an excellent job. What we have to do is compare the differences between Terrell Bernard and Specter. Now, I think both are able to communicate this defense, communicate from Bobby Babbage, get the play calling, get our players lined up well. That's first and foremost that I think Specter and Terrell Bernard are both capable of doing. Now, we haven't seen a lot from Specter to make sure that he's able to sustain this communication through multiple games, but I think he did an excellent job versus the Miami Dolphins. Looking at the other differences, it is obviously their skill set and their body types. Terrell Bernard, probably better in pass coverage, much more agile, quicker, able to just defend against the pass a little bit better than Specter. Now, the question really arises here, who is better against the run? I think being good against the run, it first starts with play recognition, right? And also just being able to get around offensive linemen in pursuit to the football. So there's a lot that goes into it, but shedding blocks, I think Specter taking on blocks or taking on offensive linemen, because sometimes, as a linebacker, that offensive lineman, they're going to pull, they're going to stunt and do things on that offensive line to isolate you as a linebacker. So it's about taking on that offensive lineman, not being pushed backwards, not creating a huge gaping hole for opposing running backs to run through. And you really can look at Terrell Bernard and Specter. I think Specter clearly, just because of his build, might be better in some areas than Terrell Bernard. But I think the overall potential of Terrell Bernard, we don't really know from a communication standpoint quite yet how well Specter will do, although it seems promising, and what we're lacking in the pass coverage ability. But again, that's why I brought up the 4 teams that we're going against. Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, and Aaron Rodgers. We're going to be without Terrell Bernard, which is a massive loss for the Buffalo Bills. Now, you do look at the Jags, the Ravens, the Texans, and the Jets, and I still think they rely pretty heavily on running the football. Speed-wise, the Ravens are definitely the fastest out of the group overall, I would say. The Texans are definitely fairly fast, but I think the Ravens definitely have a lot more speed, especially at the quarterback position. Lamar Jackson and his escapability to keep the ball and run with it. It would be nice to have a Terrell Bernard on the football field compared to a Specter, who's clearly a little bit slower. And, obviously these other teams like the Texans with Stephon Diggs, with Tank Dell and many others, Nico Collins and many others there. CJ Stroud is fully capable of passing the football. It'd be nice to have a pass coverage linebacker like Terrell Bernard out there. So, just thinking about it, we're down to Specter and Dorian Williams at the linebacker spot. We're probably going to be without Taron Johnson for this upcoming game as well. It's just absolutely insane. But players stepping up, like Jamarcus Ingram getting an interception, Cam Lewis doing some big-time freaking things for Bills Mafia. And again, if there is another injury to Specter, to Dorian Williams, we could very well see Buffalo Joe come out there for Bills Mafia, and we all know what he's going to do for this community being from here. I don't think all is lost with this. I think there's a lot of promise and things that are really going on. You know, you look about the Jets, they're really a run-first team, I would say, trying to establish the run, the play action for Aaron Rodgers. You know, although Aaron Rodgers is capable of sitting back there and throwing it all game long, they definitely want to protect Aaron Rodgers, especially early in the year. I think there needs to be a commitment to running the football for the Jets. So Specter, it's going to break down to his ability to communicate this defense, to make sure that we are aligned up and lined up very well. And we had some game experience going against the Miami Dolphins. I mean, Bernard was lost with the pec injury very early in that game. And it's not like we missed a beat. And I give credit to Bobby Babish, to Sean McDermott, really balling out and getting this thing right. You know, even the Rams too. I know the Rams definitely, or the Ravens, they really rely on running the football pretty heavy. The Jags do too. Texans do as well. Like, you know, the Bills are definitely going to have to ball out of control here. Just make sure that we're sound and aligned up correctly. This defensive line is leading the way. Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones in the interior, Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa. Like, everyone is getting involved and stepping up to the plate here for Bills Mafia. It's huge. And I think the other thing I mentioned in my previous videos is that a good offense is the best defense. By the Buffalo Bills really running up the score and controlling things offensively, it's ultimately helping our defense out tremendously. So I want to give credit really to this offense and Josh Allen and James Cook and this offensive line really being able to run the football and establish things. I mean, 3 touchdowns total for James Cook. That's just huge. It's huge. And now you have to pay attention to James Cook moving forward. Now you're going to leave guys like Keon Coleman, you know, one-on-one. You know, your Dalton Kincaid's going to start going off, and other pieces in this passing attack is going to start popping off. So every facet of this team is complementing another facet. Really, really special to see. Going to miss Terrell Bernard for potential 4 weeks here if we place him on IR. This is definitely a big-time loss for the Buffalo Bills, but it's really up to these other players to supplement this loss. And good thing it's early in the season. I mean, we really saw what happened not having Terrell Bernard last year for the playoffs, having to call up A.J. Klein. I think we're definitely in a much better spot this year at the linebacker position. Dorian Williams, Specter, and our backup there, Buffalo Joe. He's just waiting to get on that football field and represent for this Buffalo Bills community. But I appreciate you guys all so much. I saw someone purchase the BNC chicken wing merch here. You guys can get sizes small through 5XL in black and blue, red, gray. There's other styles on the site, but I appreciate you. Also, if you guys are looking for any game, if you're looking to go to one of these games or any sort of event in your area, go to SeatGeek.com and use promo code BNC. Get $20 off your first purchase. Definitely worthwhile. Also, like, waiting a day before the event, you guys could get really cheap tickets on things and discounts. A lot of the tickets drop in price a day or the day of the event if you're willing to do that. But I appreciate you. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.